It's right across from Allegheny Station. There's a little side street. You know, people moved over there. But even there, even in those spots, they would still bounce you, you know, because they put beat cops on. So you guys got to go. That was really their only goal, was not arrests, you know, not to jam us up. Just if they're there, they got to move. And they did that for all of 24. They outlawed fires, tents of any kind, even big umbrellas. So I said it right from the start. I said, you know, if they're doing that stuff now, because that rule came about earlier in the year, and we had all heard about it, you know, no fires allowed this winter, that kind of stuff. So they're going to freeze us out. You know?
Name can work,
and it worked for a lot of people. Should have worked for me, you know? Yeah.
In what sense?
Got frostbite and lost my feet. Yeah.
Check.
That was in December. Actually, I guess really January, but it really started in December. So what happened is my kidneys started to fail, right? So my face was swelling up like crazy. I can show you some pictures. You know, I don't even look like myself. And I went to the hospital for it because everybody down there was like, even the cops, man, the cops walked up to me the one day, they're like, "You Bud?" I was like, "Yeah." "Why?" You know, and they're like, people are worried about you. Like, the people on the cameras are watching, like, they think you're gonna die. Your mom's looking for you. You know, I guess word had gotten around.
Because they have cameras in Philly, so I know where he was, and I do look at the cameras. And then when I talked to him, he'd look at the camera, knowing that I was watching him. Of course, we went down, and they were bad. It was bad. It was bad.
You're not supposed to be here.
This shit crazy, team.
But if he didn't lose his legs, he would not be with us right now. He was so full of infection. He wouldn't have made it. He had been gone. He'd been gone months ago. There was just no way his body was done. His mind wasn't done, but his body was done. His body could not take any more.
You know, they asked me to go to the hospital. I said, "No, I'm not going, I'm not going." It even went so far as a cop actually offered me money. He's like, "Do you need money to get well or something so that you'll go?" I was like, "I appreciate the offer, but no." And that went on for a couple of weeks. It got to the point where I couldn't even open my eyes. I had to like pry my eyes open to see. They were so swollen shut from my body retaining water, which I found out shortly after when I went to the hospital is called xylazine-induced nephrotic syndrome. So nephrotic syndrome is a kidney disease where your body doesn't process proteins in the proper way. It causes water retention, and it essentially is poisoning your body. You know, you can't process toxins. So I went to the hospital eventually because they didn't give up on it. Every time they saw me, "You ready to go yet? You ready to go yet?" So eventually I said yes. And while I was in the hospital, this was in December, right before Christmas, I went to the hospital and my face started to swell up even more so while in the hospital. I don't know why, if it was maybe just a reaction to like no longer being in stress, like my body was overcompensating or something, you know, just being out of the cold. And they had to trach me. So I have a trach wound on my neck here. You see that?
And what is that process?
That's a tracheostomy. What they do is essentially put a plastic tube in your neck so you can breathe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because your throat had swollen up so much that no air was coming out, right?
Yeah, my throat was swole shut. So they did that. I woke up 4 days later from a medically induced coma. I didn't even know any time had passed. I woke up, I couldn't talk, I was thirsty. Can't have water because you essentially have to learn how to swallow again. So, you know, I'm like, I'm thirsty, you know, I couldn't talk, and they're like, you can't have anything. They gave me a sponge, you know, sponge with some water dipped on it, and I can only have that like every couple of hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was rough. You know, I was sick when I woke up because they were giving me the bare minimum. So I told them I need meds. I asked them to call my mom. You know, I could be like, I don't want to say that I'm a jerk in the hospital. I can just be demanding, I guess. You know, I'm not rude, but, you know, I tell them, like, you know, this is your job. You gotta, you know, like, I'm sick, man. You know, give me